دخلت. Guys, I'm just accepting your friends. Janna Gouda, Janna Tamir, Hassan Gouda, Hassan Gouda, Mariam, Sama, Ryan. This is Osama, Ryan, Kinoz, Hala, Tadros, Yasin, okay, Yusuf Awad, Yusuf Awad. So there are 16 students so far. Guys, tell your friends who tried to join late. Somebody tried to join 10 minutes before the end of the first session. I didn't admit him or her. Please, if you are 7 minutes late, you'll not be admitted. I'm sorry. So there are 16 students in the room. I'd like to thank those who joined, let's say, who joined the PISinter site, Janna Gouda and Hassan Gouda. So there are 5 guys there now waiting for the other 24 to join. And I think there are some people who haven't joined our Facebook page yet, like Noreen, Kunuz, I think Lion is not there. I sent you an invitation. I sent an invitation to 4 people. Nobody has accepted it yet. Please accept the invitation to join the Facebook group. And again, I'd like to remind you that there is a novel quiz next Tuesday. This is Yasmin Hussein.
مستر الترايد اللي انا جوين على اللي حضرتك بعته didn't work.
Tadros, ask your friends. I'm not sure what to tell you, but ask your friends. Use your Microsoft account, the school account. Yani 5 people joined it so far. Ask them what they did and do the same. Okay?
Okay, Mr. Thank you. Okay.
And Lolwa. Lolwa here. Okay. I'd like to share. I'm not sure what. Show all windows. Yeah, it's here. Can you see the screen? Friends, can you see the screen? Can anybody answer, please?
Yes, Mr. Yes.
Okay, so I have with her lovely avatar and Hassan Gouda. I like the parting on your head. He has 2 parting. Mariam and her veil. Ryan didn't make an avatar for himself. And Yasin's. Try to join them, please, as soon as possible. I don't want to say that if you don't join by a specific date, somebody will be punished, but I don't want to say this. You're old enough. Grade 12, I think 16 people have joined so far. Grade 11, 5 people only. This is a shame, guys. Please join as soon as possible. Okay, I'll share the screen. A story. Give me a second. Share here. And I think we stopped here. Okay, so we still have about 5 pages only in this session before the end of this section. And again, the Tuesday quiz will cover up to the last page we read today. I think it's page 348. If you have the book, it will be page 348. I need a volunteer to read, please. Any volunteers? No volunteers? Okay, Walid, Abdurrahman Walid, can you read? Abdurrahman Walid, are you there? Abdurrahman. So Walid is absent. Sorry. I'll pick another name. Mariam Naqib, can you read? Mariam?
Yes, mister.
Okay, start.
Lucky there's another pair in the toolbox. Liesel suggested, and she could see him trying not to laugh despite himself. Rudy moved across and faced the other way, and there was room for Liesel now as well. The book thief and her best friend sat back to back at the patchy red toolbox in the middle of the street, each facing a different way. They remained for quite a while when they stood up and went home. Rudy changed his socks and left previous ones on the road. A gift, he decided, for Gelb's dress. The spoken truth of Rudy Steiner. I guess I'm better at leaving things behind than stealing them. A few weeks later, the toolbox ended up being good for at least something. Rudy cleared it of the screwdrivers and hammers and chose instead to store it in many of the Steiner's valuables for the next air raid. The only item that remained was the teddy bear. On March 9, Rudy exited the house with it when the sirens made their presence felt again in Mulching.
Wait, Mariam.
While the Steiners rushed down Hemmel Street, Michael Holtzapfel
Mariam, can you hold on?
was knocking ferociously at Rosa Huberman's door when she and Liesel came out. He handed them his problem. My mother, he said, and the plumes of blood were still on his bandage. She won't come out. She's sitting at the kitchen table. As the weeks had worn on, Frau Holtzapfel had not yet begun to recover. When Liesel came to read, the woman spent most of the time staring at the window. Her words were quiet, close to motionless. All brutality and reprimand were wrested from her face. It was usually Michael who said goodbye to Liesel or gave her the coffee and thanked her. Now this. Rosa moved into action. She waddled swiftly through the gate and stood in the open doorway. Holtzapfel, there was nothing but sirens and Rosa. Holtzapfel, get out of there, you miserable old swine. Tact had never been Rosa Huberman's strong point. If you don't come out, we're all going to die here on the street. She turned and viewed the helpless figures on the footpath. A siren had just finished wailing. What now? Michael shrugged. Disoriented, perplexed, Liesel dropped her bag of books and faced him. She shouted at the commencement of the next siren. Can I go in? But she didn't wait for the answer. She ran the short distance of the path and shoved past Mama. Frau Holtzapfel was unmoved at the table. What do I say? Liesel thought. How do I get her to move?
Okay, so there was, thank you, Mariam. There was a raid again, and they were in the basement, hiding in the shelter, and Frau Holtzapfel didn't want to move. And remember that in the toolbox Rudy has for stealing, he has some towels, some socks, some a teddy bear. Remember this teddy bear very well because he will need it later. It's very important. The teddy bear is very important for Rudy. We'll see later how. I need another volunteer, please. Guys, please volunteer to read. Ryan, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you were absent last Tuesday, Ryan, right?
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
You didn't attend the sessions last Tuesday, right?
Yes, I skipped those.
Okay. Can you read?
Okay. Yes. So from after the options.
Yeah, when the sirens, no, here.
Ah, okay, sorry. When the sirens took another breath, she heard Rosa calling out, "Just leave her, Liesel. We have to go. If she wants to die, that's her business." But then the sirens resumed. They reached down and tossed the voice away. Now it was oily noise and girl and wiry women. Frau Holzappel, please. Much like her conversation with Ilsa Herman on the day of the cookies, a multitude of words and sentences were at her fingertips. The difference was that today there were bombs. Today it was slightly more urgent. The options. Frau Holzappel, we have to go. Frau Zappel will die if we stay here. You still have one son left. Everyone's waiting for you. The bombs will blow your head off. If you don't come, I'll stop coming to read to you. And that means you've lost your only friend.
Okay,
She went with the last sentence.
hold on, Ryan,
Okay.
please. Ryan, so Liesel is trying to take Frau Holzapfel down to the shelter because there was a raid, an air raid. Frau Holzapfel didn't want to move. Liesel tried again and again to move her and reminded her of her dead son, Robert. And he reminded her that he has or she has one left son, Michael, if you remember him. Frau Holzapfel, we have to go. Frau Holzapfel will die if we stay here. You still have one son left, Michael. Everyone's waiting for you. The bombs will blow your head off if, and at the end, she threatens her, if you don't come, I'll stop coming to read to you. Remember that Liesel was in the habit of going to Frau Holzapfel to read for her. And that means you have lost your only friend. I'm your only friend. If you don't come with us to the shelter, down to the shelter, I will stop coming to you and reading for you, and this means you've lost your only friend. Go on, Ryan. Ryan, go on.
Okay. She went with the last sentence, calling the words directly through the sirens. Her hands were planted on the table. The woman looked up and made her decision. She didn't move. Liesel left. She withdrew herself from the table and rushed from the house. Rosa held open the gate and they started running to number 45. Michael Holtzapfel remained stranded on Himmel Street. Come on, Rosa implored him, but the returned soldier hesitated. He was just about to make his way back inside when something turned him around. His mutilated hand was the only thing attached to the gate, and shamefully he dragged it free and followed. They all looked back several times, but there were still no Frau Holzapfel. The road seemed so wide, and when the final siren evaporated into the air, the last three people on Himmel Street made their way into the Fiedler's basement. "What took you so long?" Rudy asked. He was holding the toolbox. Liesel placed her bag of books on the ground and sat on them. "We were trying to get Frau Holzapfel." Rudy looked around. "Where is she?" "At home in the kitchen." In the far corner of the shelter, Michael was cramped and shivery. "I should have stayed," he said. "I should have stayed. I should have stayed." His voice was close to noiseless.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. So this is Michael again, Frau Holzapfel's son. He tried to take his mom with him to the shelter, but the woman insisted on staying in the kitchen. She was sitting at the kitchen table. She didn't move, and the boy was hesitated to take his mom or not, and he left her behind. And now he's blaming himself for being, or this is what is called the survival's guilt. He felt guilty because he left his mom behind in danger and ran to the shelter. He says, I should have stayed. I should have stayed. I should have stayed three times. His voice was close to noiseless. Okay, so he's blaming himself for leaving his mom behind. But as you know, Liesel tried again and again to take the woman with her, but Frau Holzapfel insisted on staying in the kitchen. I need another volunteer, please. Another volunteer. Yasmin Sa'a, can you read? Yasmin Sa'a, can you hear me?
Yes, mister.
Okay.
His eyes were louder than ever. They beat furiously in their sockets as he squeezed his injured hand, and the blood rose through the bandage. It was Rosa who stopped him. "Please, Michael, it's not your fault." But the young man, with only a few remaining fingers on his right hand, was inconsolable. He crouched in Rose's eyes. "Tell me something," he said. "Because I don't understand." He fell back and sat against the wall. "Tell me, Rosa, how she can sit there ready to die while I still want to live." The blood thickened. "Why do I want to live? I shouldn't want to, but I do."
Hold on, Yasmin, please. So again, the speaker here, or we are talking about Michael Holzapfel, Frau Holzapfel's son. Again, remember that Michael was in the war. He has an injured hand. His hand was bleeding all the time, and he lost his brother Robert in the war. Remember when they were back in Stalingrad, as we said last time. So Michael is still blaming himself. He asks Rosa, "Tell me something because I don't understand." Okay? Tell me, Rosa, how she can sit talking about his mother. She is Frau Holzapfel. How she can sit there ready to die while I still want to live. I escaped. I left my mom behind. I didn't bring her with me even by force. How does she want to die the time I want to live? The blood thickened, the blood, his hand was bleeding all the time. Why do I want to live? I shouldn't want to, but I do, he asks Rosa. Okay, the speaker here again is Michael Holzapfel. Go on, Yasmin.
The young man went uncontrollably, with Rose's hand on his shoulder, for many minutes. The rest of the people watched. He could not make himself stop even when the basement door opened and shut through Holtzville entered the shelter. Her son looked up. Rosa stepped away. When they came together, Michael apologized. "Mama, I'm sorry. I should have stayed with you." Fran Holtzville.
Frau
How
means
to spell?
madam. Frau Holzapfel. Holzapfel.
Yes.
Holzapfel.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
She only sat with her son and lifted his bunged hand. "You're bleeding again," she said. With everyone else, they sat and waited. Liesel reached into her bag and rummaged through the book. The Bombing Monish, March 9 and 10. The night was long with bombs and reading. Her mouth was dry, but the book thief worked through 54 pages. The majority of children
So
slept
again,
and didn't hear the siren.
wait, please, Yasmin. So, as you know, whenever they went to the shelter to hide from the bombings, Liesel was in the habit of reading. On these two nights, March 9th and 10th, the night was long with bombs and reading. Her mouth was dry, but the book thief, Liesel, could read 54 pages. Okay, go on.
The majority of children slept and heard the sirens of renewed safety. Their parents worked them or carried them up the basement steps. In the world darkness, far away, fire were burning, and I had picked up just over 200 murdered souls. I was on my way to mulching for one more. Himmel Street was clear. The sirens had been held off for many hours, just in case there was another threat, and to allow the smoke to make its way into the atmosphere. It was Bettina Steiner who know. Should I continue?
Okay.
Okay. It was Bettina Steiner who noticed the small fire and the silver smoke further down. close to the Amber River. It trailed into the sky, and the girl held up her finger. Look.
Okay, so here, thank you, Yasmin. For far away, fires were burning, and I had picked up just over 200 murdered souls. Who is the speaker here, guys? Who is the speaker here? Osama? Osama, are you following up? Osama?
Yes.
Who is the speaker here? Far away, fires were burning, and I had picked up just over 200 murdered souls. Who is the speaker here? Ali? Ali? Ali, can you answer this question? Ali is not here.
No, you must.
طب ما بتجاوبش ليه يا علي؟
Question.
Who is the speaker here? Can you see the highlighted pronoun I here? Who is the speaker? You can read the whole line if you like and tell me who's the
Death.
speaker. Huh?
Death.
Death, yes, the narrator. So the narrator says, during these 2 days, March 9th and 10th, about 200 souls, 200 people died. I was on my way for one more. So the total of the people who died that or those 2 nights were 201. Who is this person? We're not sure yet. We'll find out. Okay, Ali, can you read this page for us, please? Ali? Ali, can you hear me? Ali? Ali Gizi? Ali, are you with us? Okay. So Ali left. I need another person to read, please. Yasin Said, can you read? Yasin?
Okay. The girl might have seen it first, but it was Rudy who reacted. In his haste, he did not relinquish his grip in the toolbox as he sprinted to the bottom of Himmel Street, took a few side roads, and entered the trees. Liesel was next, having surrendered her box to a heavily protesting Rosa, and then a smattering of people from several shelters along the way. Rudy did not wait. Liesel could only see the toolbox in certain gaps in the trees as he made his way through to the dying glow and the misty plain. It sat smoking in the clearing by the river. The pilot had tried to land there. Within 20 meters, Rudy stopped.
Oh, Yasin,
Just as I arrived,
hold on. There was a plane crash. The girl, Bettina Steiner, Rudy's sister, pointed up to the falling plane. It was in fire, and the pilot tried to land there, near the river. And the children ran in the direction of the crashing or falling plane. Go on, Yasin.
just as I arrived myself, I noticed him standing there, recovering his breath. The limbs of the trees were scattered in the dark. There were twigs and needles littered around the plane like fire fuel. To the left, 3 gashes were burned into the earth. The runaway tick-tock of cooling metal sped up the minutes and seconds till they were standing there for what felt like hours. The growing crowd was assembling behind them, their breath and sentences sticking to Lies's back. "Well," said Rudy, "should we take a look?" He stepped through the remainder of trees to where the body of the plane was fixed onto the ground. Its nose was in the running water, and the wings were left crookedly behind. Rudy circled slowly from the tail and around to the right. There's glass, he said. The windshield is everywhere. Then he saw the body. Rudy Steiner had never seen a face so pale. Don't come, Liesel. But Liesel came. She could see the barely conscious face of the enemy pilot as the tall trees watched and the rivers ran. The plane let out a few more coughs and the head inside tilted from left to right. He said something they obviously did not understand. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, Rudy whispered, he's alive. The toolbox bumped the side of the plane and brought with it the sound of more human voices and feet. The glow of fire was gone, and the morning was still and black. Only the smoke was in its way, but it too would soon be exhausted.
So the girl and the boy ran to the cockpit of the plane. You know, it was windshield or glass, and the pilot was maybe still alive, but he is going to die soon. Okay, and this is the last page we're going to read today. I need one last volunteer to read it, please. Yusuf Awad, are you there? Tadrus, you read in the first session. Thank you very much.
Yes, Mr.
Okay, Yusuf, can you read the last page for us? And remember, guys, page 348, if you have the PDF copy of the book, this is the last page we're going to do for the Tuesday quiz. So from the beginning, part 9, again, from the beginning of part 9 up to page 348, up to this page. Okay, Yusuf.
The wall of trees kept the color of burning Munich at bay. By now the boy's eye had adjusted not only to the darkness, but to the face of the pilot. The eyes were like coffee stains and gashes were rolled across his cheeks and chin. A ruffled uniform sat annually across his chest. Despite Rudy's advice, Liesel came even closer, and I can promise you that we recognized each other at that exact moment. I know you, I thought. There was a train and a coughing boy, there was snow and a distraught girl. You have grown, I thought, but I recognize you.
Okay, Yusuf, hold on, please. So this is that, again, the narrator speaks. Liesel came even closer because Rudy advised her not to come closer to the cockpit of the plane. And I can promise you, or that we recognized each other, recognized each other. Death talks about himself and Liesel because they saw each other before. Remember when he was on the train, taking the soul of her brother, she saw him. Remember this in part 1? I know you, I thought. There was a train and a coffin boy, her brother Werner, before he died. There was snow and a distraught girl. He remembered this situation when he saw Liesel before. You've grown. Liesel is 14 now. That time she was maybe 8 or 9. I thought, but I recognize you. Go on, Yusuf.
She did not back away or try to fight me, but I know that something told the girl I was there. Should she smell my breath? Could she hear my crazed circular heartbeat, evolving like the crime it is in my deathly chest? I don't know, but she knew me, and she looked me in my face, and she did not look away. As the sky began to crackle toward light, we both moved on. We both observed the boy as he reached into his toolbox again and searched through some pictures frames to pull out a small stuffed yellow toy. Carefully, he climbed to the dying man. He placed the smiling teddy bear cautiously into the pilot's shoulder. The tip of its ear touched his throat. Uh, the dying man breathed it in. He spoke in English. He said, "Thank you." His straight-lined cuts opened as he spoke, and a drop of blood threw rocketly down his throat. "What?" Rudy asked him. "Was hast du gesagt?" What did you say? Unfortunately, I beat him to the answer. The time was there and I was reaching into the cockpit. I slowly extracted the pilot's soul from his ruffled uniform and rescued him from the broken plane. The crowd played with the silence as I made my way through. I jostled free. Above me, the sky clipped. Just a, just a last moment of darkness, and I swear I could see a black signature in the shape of a swastika. It floated untightly above. Heil Hitler, I said, but I was well into the cheese by then. Behind me, a teddy bear rested on the shoulder of a corpse. A lemon candle stood below the branches. The pilot's soul was in my arms. It's probably fair to say that in all years of Hitler's reign, no person was able to serve the Führer as loyally as me. A human doesn't have a heart like mine. The human heart is a line, whereas my own is a circle, and I have the endless ability to be in the right place at the right time. The consequence of this is that I'm always finding humans at their best and worst. I see their ugly and their beauty, and I wonder how the same thing can be both. Instead, they have the thing I envy. Humans, if anything else, have the good sense to die.
Okay, thank you, Yusuf. Thank you very much. So this is the last impression the narrator gives us about himself and how he sees human beings. He says here, it's probably fair to say that in all the years of Hitler's reign, no person was able to serve the Führer as loyally as me. Again, this means Hitler killed millions of people, and this was very loyal to him. I took the souls of millions of people Hitler killed. A human doesn't have a heart like mine. The human heart is a line, whereas my own is a circle. So here, Death holds a comparison between his heart and the human heart. He said the human heart is a line, but my heart is a circle. And I have the endless ability to be in the right place at the right time. The consequence of this is that I'm always finding humans at their best and worst. I see their ugly and their beauty, and I wonder how the same thing can be both. Remember in part one, he said, I wonder how people can be good and bad at the same time. Still, they have one thing I envy. Human beings have one thing, death envies. What is it? Humans, if nothing else, have the good sense to die. Humans, this is the thing death envies humans for having. Humans have the good sense to die. And this is the end of this part. So again, we stopped here. Again, for Tuesday quiz, you have to study up to page 348. Again, 348 if you have the PDF copy here. And this is the last paragraph we have read from the beginning of part 9. Any question related to the quiz? Is it clear now? Guys?
Yes.
Any question?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to remind you again I upload this video or these videos on SMS. Some people ask me, how can we study? You can study. The best thing to do is attending the sessions. Once you attend the session and pay attention, I think you will understand everything. You need to read. If you don't want to read, you can watch the videos. Your friends read for you. Okay, thank you very much. And please join the PISinter site. Join your friends as soon as possible. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
I joined them.
Okay, thank you, Mary. I saw it. Is it
Sir, I joined also.
okay? Let me check before we leave. Still have about 5 minutes. Okay, I have thank you very much. I have 9 names now. I have again, I'll share it with you. Can you see the screen? Can you see the screen, friends? Nobody answers. I don't know why.
Yes,
okay. So I have Ganna Gouda, Hassan Gouda, Hassan Ruhayim joined. I love your avatar, Hassan, and your cap. Layan, I love your veil. Lolwa. Okay, Lolwa, thank you. Mariam, Ryan, try to make yourself an avatar, Ryan. It's easy. You can ask your friends. Tadrus, welcome Tadrus with your glasses, lovely glasses. And Yasin, thank you very much. Maybe other people, I think there are still 20 people. There are 9 only here. You are 29. There are still 20 people. Please join your friends as soon as possible. Thank you very much. See you Monday, inshallah. Not Monday. Monday, I'll go on making videos of the story and see you on Tuesday. And remember, we have a quiz on Tuesday. Thank you very much. Any question, guys? Okay.
No, thank you, Mr.
Well, see you inshallah.